Good morning and welcome. Today's Friday, and normally I'll do a review of Zombieland Saga Revenge on Thursday, but I couldn't because Demon Slayer movie. Now, here's the thing: before I do my review of Zombieland Saga Revenge Episode 3, I just want to say the movie last night, the Demon Slayer movie, was epic. I mean, I know people had it bad because they way how they rushed it, but I like the movie. I liked the movie. I didn't cry because I read the manga, so I knew what was gonna happen. So there were moments where I felt like, oh boy, I knew where this was going. To me, I had my eyes rolling every time, like, oh boy, I'm hear some tears, and I heard some tears. So yeah, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but like I said, just watch the movie. You're gonna love it, and I'm still wearing this shirt still. Okay, that being said, Zombieland Saga Revenge Episode 3. The last two episodes, they gave us something that we want to talk about Zombieland Saga Revenge. I can see where the revenge takes its toll in this episode, where it's like, what is the revenge of for Franchoso? And we're finally getting the revenge that we wanted to see, and it makes sense. I mean, the whole revenge thing is not just about Franchoso. I mean, it's about basically, well, to me, the whole revenge thing is just basically Franchoso getting revenge on the people that kind of dropped them. Like, you listen to them, but then you kind of like, oh, they suck, I'm out. And so they want to get revenge on the people who like not only disrespected them, but trying to get back on their feet again as part of their revenge story. I mean, it could have been like the Cinderella story all over again for them, but that's how it is. So episode 3 had some good moments, but only focuses on Ai and Junko. Both of them had a very tight episode. Like, this episode was really, really important for Ai and Junko. Both of them had so much to give, and Ai being the leader of Franchocho, it was kind of dark and deep to this point. So without further ado, let's talk about Zombieland Saga Revenge Episode 3. Because there's some funny moments I want to put out there. So let's start with Ai. I looking back on Zombieland Saga, I would say Ai is my top 5 in terms of like good zombie idols in Franchocho. She's like number, I would say 3 or 4. It's close. It's close. Even Junko's 3 or 4. I can't decide because both of them are really good. So Ai is looking back into the unit she was in, Iron Frill. Now, for those of you who forgot about Ai and how she died, think back to that Chidori moment where she performing in the rain, shockingly, performing in the rain, put her hands up, and then poof, lightning killed her right off the gate. Just right off the gate, lightning killed her. Thank you, Sasuke. Thank you for killing her. Okay. And let's not forget how Junko died. Junko died from a plane crash. So, okay, I'm glad I gave y'all a little memory. So, the unit Iron Frill and the reporter and everybody else, they recognized, there were moments in this episode that everybody remembers Ai. They're like, hey, you look like that legendary idol, Ai from Iron Frill. I'm like, oh my God. I wonder how they're going to realize that she's a zombie. But still, it's the way how they showed her, like, you look like the legendary idol thing. Everybody's just reminiscing her backstory as to what made her become an idol to this day. In this episode, it was kind of funny because there were funny moments in this one, mostly Tai and Sakura. Now, here's the thing. We all know how Sakura died from a truck. We all know how Sakura died, and that's from a truck. Okay, the old classic truckoon memes that in that narrow street get hit by a truck. Still funny to this day. We all know how that is. It just with Tai. Here's the thing about Tai. I'm just trying to figure this out. How is she not dead? I mean, how she became a zombie? I'm just curious. There are moments that makes me want to like, okay, Tai is the funniest girl in the group. I get that. But how in the hell did she become a zombie? I hope that for each episode we get this week, we're going to have an episode based off of them. Because if you remember, we had a Saki episode last week. Now this week we got an Ai and Junko moment in this week's episodes. So I don't know the pattern that they're gonna have. Like, are we gonna get a Lily episode? Are we gonna get a Lily episode? Are we gonna get a Ty episode? But I think what they're gonna do is probably go on that route where this season is, we're gonna have each character in a flashback episode or whatever to see what made them become a zombie and all that. So hopefully we'll get to that. So, oh, by the way, let's talk about the commander. Let's talk about the general himself. The manager Kun nonetheless, coming out like some Full Metal Jacket. Like, like some Full Metal Jacket shit. I have a water gun, and he's shooting practices on the water gun. It's like shooting practice. Like you see at Coney Island, Six Flags. You know those shooting games where you shoot the water and you're like, that kind of thing on the. So with Ty, she hit the bullseye. And he cursed. He said, "Get your shit out of here, guys!" Yo, he curses. The way he was cursing, they censored like beep, da 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 beep. I'm like, oh my god, he's cursing. So to make it simple, their rivalry is going against Ironfro, and it kind of shocked because I never expected Ironfro to come back. Well, they're the legendary unit. So now, from this point on this season, we're gonna see a rivalry between Ironfro and Franchocho. That's how it is. Now, Ai is gonna be going solo on this part. She's going solo because I can see where the manager's kicking in this. I think the manager don't want Ai to be the face of, well, not to be the face of Franchocho, but not get involved with Ironfro because remember, people know her. So if they were like, "Hey, you're that legendary idol girlfriend," so I'm like, you see what I mean? That's gonna trigger a lot of people with that. So they're trying to maintain the balance of that and not trying to get her involved into that. That's why she's performing in those little side commercials, being in like those main commercials, doing solo performances, and without having her in the group. So Junko is leading the role. Now it's hard for her because playing an important role as the lead for Franchocho now that Ai's gone. Junko herself, she's trying to find ways to motivate herself and trying to find her inner strength to find the feeling of being a leader. Plus, the only good moment was her singing. Like the way she was playing the guitar up there on the roof, it was so great. She was singing. We actually loved that scene, and I'm sure you guys have too. Of course, it had to ruin the funny moment when Sakura got up and her head was still there, and her whole body fell off the roof, and her body was trying to climb back up. So yeah. And then, what a way to make a cliffhanger. What a way to make a cliffhanger. So great, guys. By having the girl from Ironfro having a talk with Ai while Junko and Sakura was hiding, and then her come out and said, "Why don't you join? You could join Ironfro with us. Forget join Franchocho. They're the weak unit ever. They are so weak. You have potential than all the other idols in Franchocho. Come join us. Join Ironfro. We'll make you even better and stronger and faster than them." And then ended with a cliffhanger with Junko all sad and crying and everything. So it's like, wow. But here's the thing, and that cliffhanger, it was so good. But the thing is, guys, we know that there's no way in hell Ai is gonna join Ironfro. Are you kidding me? There's no way Ai is gonna leave Franchocho because they're like a family. They're like a family together. Like I said, they're huge. Franchocho's a family. And I mean, you think about Ai joining Ironfro, that's not even possible. But come on, there's no way Ai is gonna join another unit. Sure, Ai has idol experience than all the others. We get that. But there's no way she's gonna abandon the unit that she's been working with on from the beginning and then just happily just say, "Oh, I'm joining." That's not gonna fly. But here's the thing about this week's episode of Zombieland Saga Revenge. I find this week's episode was really good. It's showing us more and more characters' backstory. Not entirely their backstory, but each character's facing problems. And that's what we're getting out of it. In season one, we got flashbacks of some of the zombies that we haven't gotten yet. So we're still going to get that. But we did have some, but like I said, season one, we had flashbacks of how each of them became a zombie. And this season, we get to see each character's somewhat of a backstory and what motivate them to become what they are. So we're getting that. We're getting more and more of it. And like I said, each week's episode of Zombieland Saga, we get to see French Show developing even more and more. Like, they got their own radio station. So we're going to see French Show being rising up, the rising unit star once again. So we're going to get to see that. And like I said, I'm just waiting for Tai and the other, I forgot her name, the other zombie girl I like, trying to get their backstory as well. Hopefully we'll get to that. But like I said, the whole plot is still, like, I know people don't see the plot after 3 episodes. Where's the plot of all this? But right now, we actually see the plot now. Think about it. Him getting French Ocho is down downright spiraling craziness of how you put this? Downright craziness of sorrow. In other words, they've been down at luck. So the whole plot of Zombieland Saga Revenge is French Ocho trying to come back, rise up back, and trying to be the best unit they could be while facing problems and people that they met each time dealing with problems. So we get to see that and the rivalry of Iron Fro. So like I said, we're gonna see a rivalry that these two are gonna have. And like how idol animes like Love Live have a rival with Saint Snow, like Aqua's has a rival with Saint Snow, Arise have a rival with Muse. So you see what I'm saying? We're gonna see that. So we're gonna see more and more of this as it goes along. So next week is gonna be the fallout after Junko and Saga heard the conversation with Ai. So we're gonna see more and more where the storyline fit between Ai and the unit of French Ocho, with Junko and Ai, being more focused for next week's episode. So stay tuned.